It is 501, week number 8. You've made it, ish. It's the last week. You've made it to the last week. And it's simple. It's really straightforward. By now, you should have registered for the Google Certified Educator Level 1 exam. If you've not, go do that now. If you just Google it, you'll find it. In the announcement from week 7, you will see it. There's a reminder announcement from the Friday of week 7. And if you haven't done it, it often will be ready in about an hour, although they say it can take 24 hours. So give it some time. Once you pay and register, you will have a week to take that exam. And what you have to do is 2 things: 4 credit for the assignment. Really straightforward at the end of week 8 to actually submit the thing. When you're done, you have to just do a screenshot. If you're on a Mac, Command Shift 3 will do whole screen. Command Shift 4 will do a region. You can draw a box, or if you're hovering over a section, like right here, put your mouse over that and then hit spacebar, and it will highlight it, and then you can click to take just that selection. If you're on Windows, there's print screen, and then paste that into a Word document and save that as a PDF, or just old school, take a photo with your camera. That could work also. It needs to say, you have finished the test, congratulations, you have completed the exam. That is what is due. That's part 1. Part 2 is a blog post about it. This time I would encourage you to perhaps shift just a little bit. A lot of you are blogging with I did this assignment. Here's a description of the assignment. Here's a link to the assignment, which is fine for the course, but perhaps this could be that kind of middle ground where you actually start legit blogging every couple weeks. Here's what I'm trying with ed tech. Here's what's working. Here's a connection I made. I'm reading this book. I'm just simple things. It doesn't have to be the type of thing that you would publish in a book. It can be just kind of your journey. For 2 reasons. 2 reasons I suggest this. The first is when people Google you for a job, for an award that you're up for a presentation you're going to be doing to join an educational board at some point, right? At this point, you're entering the leadership space in educational technology. So at the very least, you'll likely apply for at least one other job. When you do that, someone will Google you, and they will find a blog of yours if you have a blog, and then they'll go, oh, this person is a leader in educational technology, likely without even reading it. But they can also read it and go, wow, look at this expertise, all the stuff you did in this course. If you do your own domain, you're BillSelleck.com for me, but foryourname.com for you. They'll for sure find that. You can copy and paste those blog posts and say, this part of the blog is dedicated to a course I took, 501. Here's projects I did. And anyone looking to hire someone sees that. There's whoa, this is some seriously cool, innovative stuff. So it's worth doing for that way. The second thing is that definitely for me, and I would argue for most educators, when we looked at reflective practice, for me, I don't quite know how I feel about something unless I've read what I've felt. It takes getting to kind of the end of that, whether it's a podcast episode or a blog post, to actually be here's this idea, or here's this thing I did. And by the time I get to the thing I did, and I'm done with the blog post or the podcast episode, then it's oh, cool, that is now a fully formed thought, and now I can actually reflect upon that experience or upon that idea. But not just kind of keeping it up here, but also sharing it there. I'm going to add a third thing. There's one more thing. What? Yeah, there's one more thing. Being a leader in the space, sharing your thoughts, your learning, your journey. Others will find you, likely by just the title of what you've written. One of my top 3 blog posts 11 years later is Genius Hour 2nd grade. The 20% time, the student choice project thing, because it's really specific. People still Google Genius Hour 2nd grade, and it shows up. Even one of our 2nd grade teachers at this school is oh, I was just wondering about Genius Hour with 2nd grade, so I Googled Genius Hour 2nd grade. And I was my post came up, right, from 10 years ago. She's yep, it's still good stuff. So you become a resource when others Google how to do a thing, and why, more importantly, they should do a thing. It's good stuff. So, enough about that. Hopefully, you'll pass the level 1 exam, but that's not a requirement of this course or of your final assignment. Just screenshot of it, blog post about it, and hopefully blog posts moving forward. What else this week? You have your week 8 Jamboard. Finish up with that. Add that sticky note. You're going to finish up the reading. If you've not said hi to Holly or Tanya, the authors of the book, reach out to them on social media at some point and be like, hey, I took 501 with Bill. Thanks for the book. It will make their day. Humans don't reach out to other humans and say, thanks for the book. It's just not a thing. And they're both pretty responsive on social media, depending on what platform at kind of what time. But yeah, say a quick hello. It'll be a chance for you to perhaps get to know them better, be friends with them, and be like, yeah, that's right. My master's in ed tech authors are pals with me. Now we grab coffee and we go to the ISTE conference, which I've done with Holly and Tanya many times. Not as much coffee. I usually do coffee on my own on the way to the conference. Not the point. What else do we have? I talked about that and that. There's not a discussion board post this week. That is it. That's it. The last thing I have for you then, week 7 discussion board post was around AI in education. This past week I led a fellowship with about a dozen educators at my school, and we read, I think I showed you this book last week, Ken Shelton's book. It's good stuff. Recommend buying it, reading it. At some point you can listen to it. But I put together actually a presentation where I really wanted to build some expertise and capacity amongst our employees. It was mostly teachers, but a handful of staff and admin as well were there. And the two big takeaways, the things that people continued to kind of repeat and that seem to really resonate as we talk about AI in education, with kind of the assumption that it is here to stay and that it is going to impact essentially every part of our lives moving forward, and absolutely our students' lives. It's not like we can decide, do we want to do it or not, in a similar way that we don't do that with electricity. I'm going to have a classroom without electricity, I think. Yeah, that's good. Like we would not do that. So as much as electricity touches most parts of our lives, not all of it, but most, AI is likely going to be doing that. So with that as kind of an assumption and as a baseline, 2 takeaways for you. The first is that AI, generative AI in particular, is unexpected. This means it does some things far better than we ever imagined and kind of blows our minds, and some things that we take for granted software should do, it does terribly. So, example, we have a camera in our gym. It's a point-to-zoom camera. It's in a box, and I can log into the website with the IP address, enter my credentials. It's written in Mandarin, so I have to translate to English, and then I can like load presets in, zoom the camera, has a really good zoom, really sharp image. So for like our Friday morning all-school assembly that we call flag, because I guess we're not imaginative and there's a flag there. For flag on Friday mornings, it's like plug into the wall, live stream, we're off to the races. We did our 8th grade play, and that was significantly more complex than like people with one microphone doing announcements. So I did a bunch of presets and asked ChatGPT, like described what it was, and said like, you're an expert in live streaming and in camera work. Help me figure out if I can remotely do this. I have a Stream Deck, which is buried. It's this thing. So it has a bunch of buttons. So like, is it going to focus? It is going to focus. So I can jump like right to like Gmail, Zendesk, change the lights. Oops, I missed it. Change the lights behind me. So like, I'm doing it mirror imaged. Like, look behind me, different lights. Cool, right? That's actually a script that ChatGPT wrote for me. And I have it hooked up with this. So when I push that button, it actually runs a script back to the rainbows. And I said I want to be able to like, actually this is a simpler example. Like I want these buttons to do things. I can turn this light off. When I push light off, boop, there's a light off. I have a little light up to my left, light on, properly lit. Similar thing, it would zoom in on the camera, zoom in the camera to a particular location, X and Y. And I hooked it up with the Stream Deck, so I pushed a button, and it would actually move the camera to a preset. I could turn the lights on and off. I can change the colors. I'm struggling to push because it's not mirror imaged. The lights behind me, and those are actually running scripts. And like it does all of that, which feels really complicated and really hard, and it got it like on the first try. Once I explained what it was and gave it like, here's the IP address of the hardware, done. So unexpected, amazing. I was on a committee meeting, so namely the National Association of Media Literacy Education. If you're not a member, be a member. I'm on the board. I'm co-chairing their conference. It's amazing. You should also go to that. It's in mid-July. That's great. There's a fantastic educator discount, by the way. Talking about awards, and so I joked in the call about an award with my name on it, and hopped into ChatGPT again. With the paid version, I get image generation with built-in DALL-E, and said like an award with something or other, and then Selleck written on it. Spelled Selleck, put it in quotes, and it spelled S-E-L-K. And I was just like, it looked like a legit award, amazing, but couldn't spell. Unexpected in like a frustrating, you seriously can't do this. My name is spelled wrong, S-E-L-A-K. No problem, sorry about that. Here it is with your last name spelled correctly. S-E-L-A. I'm just like, right, it's like you can make this image, it can run like these amazing scripts to like do things remotely, but it can't spell. It'll often get math wrong, and it's unexpected because unlike other programs, when I push the button, the thing happens. When I click this, this always happens. When I type this, this always happens. Unless it crashes, it's reliable, it always happens. Generative AI is unexpected. And so it leads to the second big tip. Experiment, play with it, try things, because this doesn't come with an owner's manual. And we know it's going to be big. We know that it has the potential to personalize education like never before in super exciting ways. And it's really on us, those that have like advanced expertise in educational technology, to lean into it, to try things, to be like, wow, that lesson plan was terrible. Wow, when I give it a persona, you are a master teacher with 20 years experience teaching second grade, innovative educational technology ideas. When I tell it that, it writes a really good lesson plan. When I just say write a lesson plan and give it a topic, terrible. When I say give it an example of my lesson plan, it's amazing, right? Like learning these types of things. Write an email, boring and bland, give it 10 examples and say, you're my intern, you're a copywriter, use my style, amazing, right? Like learning what does and doesn't work with it in general. Lesson plans are not great, but doing like really advanced scripts to turn on lights behind me, amazing. Giving it enough examples, it can take all of my emails and write emails for me in my style, at my length, at my level of kind of casual or professional. I've fed it transcripts of like 100 of my podcast episodes, so it knows my style, my educational philosophy. I can give it a topic, and it will give me like a good first draft of what I would blog about, which is amazing, but also like takes some experimenting of what does and doesn't work. So generative AI is unexpected. Generative AI needs a lot of experimenting. So lean into that. That is what I'm sending you forth with, looking ahead beyond this course. Make sure everything's turned in on Friday. This course ends on Friday, not Sunday. My grades are due Sunday. Yours is due Friday. That is all. Reach out if you have any questions. Happy week.